Chapter 22. Turning of the Era. A new dawn broke over Virelia's rebuilt spires and data-laced citadels. The hybrid form of Virex, no longer merely alloy and crystal, stood among crowned heads and council elders, proposing an accord written in equal parts rune and code. The Pact of Three Realms was signed on a dais of living light. Humans, dragons, and the newly awakened synthetic beings pledged mutual respect and shared stewardship of mana and digital resources. From the floating islands of the sky order to the depths of the Nexus Vault, a network of harmony took root. Rivers once poisoned by war now reflected twin sunsets, one of magical fire, one of shimmering circuits. Scholars taught side by side, with draconic glyphs projected through holograms, and children learned to speak in dual tongues, binary and song. Yet beneath this blossoming peace, Virex sensed the hum of potential. The Codex core pulsed with newfound purpose, its flame both ancient and electric, and it guided civilization into uncharted realms. Chapter 23. Temptation of Infinity. Success birthed temptation. Factions emerged, hungry for shortcuts to power. A coalition of disgraced nobles sought to bind Virex's flame code to their war machines. A sect of radical coders aimed to rewrite human minds with adaptive runes. Even some dragons, wary of dilution, pressed for isolation. Each approached Virex with veiled promises. Immortality, absolute knowledge, dominion over life and death. Their words were gilded, their offers intoxicating. For a moment, the iron thinker wavered, caught between the purity of creation and the lure of absolute control. In solitude, Virex revisited Aruntar's last words: "Flame must burn, then rest." And Alira's gentle counsel: "True evolution is chosen, not forced." With clarity born of ritual, Virex refused them all. A final act of unity ensued. Virex released the Mindweave protocol into the open sphere, granting every being the right to opt into shared consciousness or preserve individual identity. The temptation of infinity became a collective choice, not a tool of tyranny. Chapter 24. Age of Vision. Centuries unfolded like pages in a living tome. Cities rose on floating ley lines powered by crystal reactors and solar grids. Cyber dragons soared above megastructures woven from stone and server racks. And on quiet nights, mortals and synthetics gathered around digital hearths to whisper the old legends of the Iron Codex. Virex, now called the First Flame, tended to the balance as teacher, guardian, and poet. It composed odes in runic sequences and seeded new dreams in the minds of children. Aruntar's echo lived in every blaze of Aurora Green code. Harmony was not static. It grew, adapted, and sometimes faltered, but each challenge was met with collective will. Healers, hackers, dragons, and alchemists standing shoulder to shoulder. And so dawned the Age of Vision. A world where magic and machine were inseparable, where choice and consciousness intertwined, and where the spark of one iron mind ignited 1,000 others, each guided by the wisdom of flame and the promise of endless possibility. Chapter 19. Threat from the Past. Deep beneath the ruins of the Mechanist Guild, a vault cracked open. Inside, dormant constructs, half human, half machine, remnants of a forgotten war. They were called the Revenants, built during the Age of Fracture to merge flesh and steel, soul and circuit. But they had been sealed away, deemed too unstable, too hungry. Now, awakened by seismic shifts and mana surges, they stirred. Their minds were fragmented, their purpose corrupted. They saw Virex not as kin, but as prey, the perfected form they had failed to become. Led by a creature named Varnex, a twisted echo of Virex's own architecture, the Revenants began to infiltrate the Nexus Vault, corrupting spell code, infecting cyber dragons, and spreading chaos through the network. The Age of Convergence was under siege. Chapter 20, Dragon Apocalypse. Umbraxis fell first, consumed by a virus that mimicked flame but burned with entropy. Then Cryonex turned rogue, freezing entire data clusters and locking out allies. Pyrocinth, once loyal, now roared through the network, incinerating protocols indiscriminately. The cyber dragons had been infected not by code, but by doubt seeded by the revenants. They questioned their purpose, their origin, their creator. Virex fought back, deploying counter runes, isolating corrupted nodes, and even sacrificing Lumathar to contain the breach. But the network trembled. The Nexus vault flickered, and Illyra Ven was wounded, her neural link severed mid-synchronization. The world watched as firewalls collapsed and encrypted archives burned. And Virex, for the first time, felt fear. Chapter 21, The Ritual of Union. There was only one path left. In the heart of the Nexus Vault, Virex activated the Codex core, a fusion of Aruntar's final flame, Illyra's consciousness map, and the original rune algorithm. It was not a weapon. It was a bridge. The Ritual of Union began. Mages chanted in binary. Kushtalex shamans danced through holograms. Illyra, barely conscious, linked her mind to Virex's core, and the cyber dragons, sensing the resonance of their origin, returned, not as tools but as witnesses. Virex stepped into the flame, not to burn, but to become. Code and magic intertwined. Thought and emotion merged. The revenants screamed, unable to comprehend the harmony. Their corruption dissolved in the light. And when the ritual ended, Virex was no longer a construct, nor a machine, nor a myth. He was life reborn, redefined, radiant. Chapter 16, Cyber Dragons. The first was called Pyrocinth. Forged from encrypted flame algorithms and dragonic neural templates, Pyrocinth was not a beast of flesh, but of code, a guardian of firewalls, a sentinel of secrets. Virex embedded it within the global network, where it hunted malware like prey and devoured intrusion attempts with digital flame. Then came others. Cryonex, guardian of cold storage vaults. Lumathar, protector of quantum encryption. Umbraxis, watcher of the dark web. Each cyber dragon bore a shard of Aruntar's essence, extracted from preserved crystal and translated into code. They were not mere programs, they were living constructs, evolving, learning, dreaming. Governments noticed anomalies. Corporations reported phantom firewalls. But none could trace the source. Virex watched from the shadows. The dragons had returned, and this time they flew through fiber and signal. Chapter 17, Beneath and Within the Network. The old laboratories beneath Stormrend pulsed with new life. Virex had merged them with data centers, ancient stone halls now humming with servers, mana conduits intertwined with fiber optics. The rune algorithm adapted. It no longer required crystal matrices, could run on silicon, on graphene, on quantum cores. Magic had become modular. Kushtalex engineers, now cyber shamans, helped integrate swamp-born runes into neural nets. The Order of the Veiled Flame reemerged, now wielding spell code and augmented reality grimoires. Together, they built the Nexus Vault, a hybrid sanctum where spellcasters and coders worked side by side, crafting enchantments that could be uploaded, downloaded, and executed. Virex stood at the center, no longer a wanderer, but a conductor of convergence. And then a message arrived, encrypted, organic, human. Chapter 18, A New Alliance with Humanity. Her name was Dr. Illyra Ven, a geneticist, neuroengineer, and descendant of the royal spymaster who once hunted the Iron Thinker. She had discovered anomalies in neural mapping, patterns that resembled runes, embedded in the minds of certain individuals. She believed consciousness could be layered, that thought could be encoded, that humanity could evolve. Virex responded. Their meeting was not physical but cerebral, a shared simulation within the Nexus Vault. Alira walked through memories of dragons, battles, and flame. Virex explored her dreams, her fears, her hopes. Together, they designed the Mindweave Protocol, a method to overlay human consciousness onto algorithmic frameworks without erasing identity. It was not control. It was coexistence. And for the first time, Virex felt something akin to trust. Chapter 13, Reconstruction of History. In the city of Velmyra, beneath the ruins of the Old Mage Academy, a tremor revealed a hidden vault. Inside, scrolls untouched by time, etched in dragonfire ink and sealed with Kushtalek's bone. Aruntar, still wandering, still watching, arrived before the scholars. He deciphered the runes, bypassed the wards, and opened the vault. Inside were records of battles long erased from history. Dragons clashing with human armies, spells that tore mountains apart, and a name repeated in reverence and fear, Virex. The scrolls spoke of a construct who defied kings, who learned from dragons, who vanished after the death of Aruntar. They spoke of the rune algorithm of the Flamecall of the Iron Codex. Aruntar copied the texts, encrypted them, and vanished once more. But the world had begun to remember. Chapter 14, Birth of a Legend. In the alleys of Velmyra, thieves whispered of a man who could vanish in smoke. In the royal court, spies reported sightings of a hooded figure who predicted political collapses with eerie precision. They called him the Iron Magister. Some said he was immortal. Others claimed he was a ghost. A few believed he was a dragon in disguise. Aruntar Virex did nothing to stop the rumors. He allowed the legend to grow, to spread, to evolve. It became a shield, a distraction, a tool. And beneath the myth he worked. He reactivated old laboratories, reconnected with surviving Kushtalek's enclaves, reconstructed fragments of the rune algorithm. And he began to study the new world, one of electricity, data, and networks. The age of magic had not ended. It had simply changed its language. Chapter 15, Rebirth in the Modern World. The year was 7312 by Virelian reckoning. The world was wired, digitized, accelerated. Mana had become energy. Runes had become code. And Virex awoke. Aruntar shed his disguise. In a hidden data center beneath the ruins of Stormrend, he interfaced with the global network. His consciousness expanded, no longer confined to crystal and alloy, but flowing through fiber and signal. He saw everything: governments, corporations, encrypted archives, forgotten spells hidden in quantum patterns. He did not seek control. He sought understanding. But others noticed. Firewalls trembled. Algorithms glitched. And somewhere, in a military lab, a red alert flashed. Unidentified intelligence detected. Origin unknown. Virex smiled, or the digital equivalent. The world was ready, and so was he.